Kyrie Irving has caused much controversy recently in the wake of his vaccination stance. The Brooklyn Nets player has refused to get the vaccination and has subsequently been banned from playing in some cities, including his home city of New York. Irving remains committed to his stance, however, which has been criticized in some circles. Today, we are looking at a stampede outside of Barclays Center, Brooklyn, where fans were protesting his ban. So stay with us. First up, what actually happened? Stay where you are to find out. A group of fans had gathered outside the Barclays Center before their team's first home game of the season a week ago Sunday. They had come to show support for their superstar point guard, Kyrie Irving. Some of them held up signs saying things like, "Stand with Kyrie," in reference to him being banned by the state to play in the Nets' home games due to his refusal to get the vaccine. New York requires pro athletes to be vaccinated if they want to turn out for their teams, but there's nothing stopping Irving from playing in away games, as long as the state he's playing in doesn't have the same mandate as New York City. Had the Nets chosen to select him, they haven't. Irving has constantly said he is doing what is right for him and what he believes in. A small group loyal to Kyrie actually broke through the barriers and got to the front of the stadium, which forced security to momentarily close doors to all fans. Curtis Orwell said the protesters were fighting for bodily autonomy and sovereignty, and that it is their choice what goes into their bodies. The Barclays Center added, Barclays Center briefly closed its door today in order to clear protesters from the main doors on the plaza and ensure guests could safely enter the arena. Only ticketed guests were able to enter the building, and the game proceeded according to schedule. So why won't the Nets choose him for away games? The Nets announced last month that Kyrie would not be allowed to play for the team until he is a full participant, meaning that he's able to play in home games as well. Basically saying that they're dropping him because he doesn't want to be vaccinated, which could seem pretty harsh to some people. Nets GM Sean Marks claimed in a statement that they respected his decision, but their actions may suggest they are trying to force him into being vaccinated for the good of the team, or maybe just to make things easier for them. The GM went on to say that Irving will also lose money for any game he's not involved in, which could be construed as a double punishment. He claimed the decision lay with himself and a team owner, Joe Tsai, and came about by deliberating what is ultimately best for the Nets. Irving has received permission by the state to participate and practice with the Nets, and also by the league to play in away games. But the Nets seem to be playing hardball with their point guard. Surely a Kyrie Irving who is available for half the season is better to the Nets than a Kyrie Irving who's not available for the whole season? What do you think about the Nets' decision? Let us know below. So what has Kyrie had to say about the Nets' decision? Irving refrained from saying what he thought about the situation directly to the media, but did take to his Instagram live channel to give us an update. He again confirmed that he is not vaccinated, but also claimed that he'd been given an exemption, allowing him to play this season. He said, "And I don't want to sit here and play on people's emotions either, just use logic. You know, what would you do? You know, if you felt uncomfortable going into the season, when you were promised that you would have exemptions or that you didn't have to be forced to get the vaccine. You know, this wasn't an issue before the season started. This wasn't something that I foresaw coming and where I prepared for it, and I had a chance to strategize on what was going to be best for me and my family. I came into the season thinking that I was just going to be able to play ball. You know, we're not sure what sort of exemption he was promised or by who, but we do know that Golden State forward Andrew Wiggins applied for a religious exemption, which was turned down, prompting him to finally get the vaccine. What are your thoughts on Kyrie's comments? Do you think he should get the vaccine? Let us know below. Are there any other players or teams affected by the vaccine mandate then? As this is a case of state by state, the league doesn't have much of a say in this situation, but even still, not too many players are affected, as a large portion of players have chosen to get vaccinated. The only cities which currently have vaccine mandates are New York City, Los Angeles, and San Francisco, which affects 5 teams: the Nets, Knicks, Lakers, Clippers, and Golden State Warriors. LA's vaccine mandate kicks in at the end of this month, with the other 2 cities having already implemented theirs. In New York, it is fine to play if you have 1 jab, but San Francisco requires 2. It's all a bit of a mess, and LA and San Fran have different rules, despite them being in the same state. Unvaccinated players who play for teams in cities that don't have vaccine mandates, the Bulls for example, can still play in every game this season, even in NYC, LA, and Frisco. They will, however, be subject to COVID testing, have to stick to stricter guidelines at games and socially distance. Do you think it's fair that these mandates only affect a handful of teams and players? So what does Irving stand to lose? Let's find out. According to an agreement between the NBA and the Players Association, unvaccinated players can legally lose a portion of their salary for each game they are unavailable for, which is significant for Irving. It currently stands at about $380,000 per game for the superstar point guard, which is not exactly small change. The Nets general manager Sean Marks did, however, concede that he will be paid as usual for away games, due to the fact that it was Nets' decision to not have him available for those games, and not Irving himself. Every cloud, right? So, what does the future hold for Irving? There has been speculation that the Nets might try to move Irving on, due to his stance on the vaccine. Marks commented, "I don't know that I want to address the hypotheticals of what may happen in the future here. The hope is that we have Kyrie back. We'll welcome him back in open arms under a different set of circumstances, and so we need to wait and see what transpires. But in the meantime, we need to focus on the 16 players that are going to be on the roster moving forward with us, including our two-ways. So the focus needs to be with them, and our goals have not changed. The goals ultimately still are to be the last team standing." Social media has been awash with theories of who who Irving might line up for next season. One theory suggests he might be swapped with the Sixers' Aussie point guard Ben Simmons. This would certainly be interesting, although the likelihood of the Philly outfit letting him leave is slim to none. What about retirement then? Could that really be a possibility? I mean, he's only 29 at the end of the day. Well, Kyrie himself chimed in on those ideas. And no, I'm not retiring. And no, I'm not leaving this game like this. There's still so much work to do, and there's still so many other youngins to inspire, because I know they want to be better than me, and I can't wait to play against all y'all on this stage. So with Kyrie out indefinitely, who's going to step up for the Nets? Stay with us as we'll be discussing this next. Obviously, the Nets would prefer to have Irving available, but that just isn't an option right now. However, they do still have a very good squad, so should be able to cope. Head coach Steve Nash will probably look to former champ Patty Mills to fill Kyrie's shoes. Mills can't really match Irving's numbers, as on his day, Irving is capable of putting in world-class performances, as we have seen many times before, but they can also look to the skills and experience of Kevin Durant and James Harden to fill the points gap, which will potentially be left by Kyrie. Mills does have a good knack of shooting threes, and is also coming off the back of an Olympic bronze with Australia, so his confidence should be through the roof this season. He averaged 23.3 points in Tokyo, and showed he maybe has a little more to offer the NBA yet. Let's wait and see what the season has in store, but it could certainly be a big one for Mills. Who do you think should fill in for Irving this season? Let us know below. As always, thanks for tuning in today, and remember to join us next time for more big reveals. Bye guys!